I'm DJ Premier and I present to you So What's Up.
Okay, computer. Run it back.
So what's up?
Oh yeah, another episode of So What's Up. There's steps I gotta go through on this one because it leads up to the song and just how everything turned into what it turned into. You know, when you start to move the hands and all that, that's when you know it's just flowing, you know, so we're flowing. All right. Starting in 1998 is where we'll begin what I'm about to get to before I show the disc. Gang Starr was asked to be on a tour called Smoking Grooves, which was an ongoing tour that had just started in the 90s, and it was always a yearly thing. It was a festival type of a tour. But this year, we were invited to it, and since our album Moment of Truth was out, and we had Bumpy Knuckles and M.O.P., Crumb Snatcher, and Casey and JoJo, all of that. With that said, the list is extensive. I'm not gonna do it in any order, I'm just gonna say who was on that tour. Cypress Hill, Public Enemy, Busta Rhymes and the Flip Mode Squad. Shout to Rampage, shout to Baby Sham, shout to Lord Have Mercy, shout to Rod Digger, shout to Busta, shout to Spliff Star, who's one of the illest hype men ever to rip a show down and really keep you alert and on point with enjoying the show when it comes to Spliff Star. Flavor Flav as well. Alchemist was on that tour as a roadie for Cypress Hill. That's how we started to bond on that tour. Even Rock Marciano, who was not on the tour, but he is part of the Flip Mode Squad back then. And look at what he's become, one of the illest independent artists that still has a huge fan base. Not to mention, I gotta remember, Wyclef and Pras were on the tour, and they had Cannabis with them because don't forget, second round knockout, the battle with LL and Cannabis was really smoking at the time, and that was a big record and a dope record. And he would come on stage with a lion. The lion looked a little tired, and I guess they had to have the trainer with the lion because he could spaz at any time. But they would bring it on stage, and Cannabis would do his thing and rep and do that record, which is one of the hardest records in hip hop. It's gonna be always one of my favorites to enjoy, and he was on that tour. So it was just I would be wrong if I don't talk about the opening acts that came before all of us. And I didn't even say Gang Starr. Rest in peace to Guru, we were on the tour. Maya on the tour. Early rookie level Maya. Warming the place up before all of us come on. And then a group I'd never heard of, never seen, but they were so unique. They were called the Black Eyed Peas. Shout to Taboo, shout to Apple D-App, shout to Will I Am. This is way before the Fergie era, that's way later. I must shout out another original member of the Black Eyed Peas from the very beginning, Miss Kim Hill. Very vital to the history of this group. And also I gotta shout out and recognize Estero, another fine singer and vocalist that put it down in the early beginnings of the Black Eyed Peas. This is 1998, and the way they danced and performed is so unlike what they do now, but one thing I love about them is they kept transitioning to another level of gaining their respect and their notoriety for being different, original, and giving you a good performance. Matter of fact, let's take a look at how they were getting down and just making the ill moves. Let's go with first Will I Am. Check it. Look at what he's doing. You see that? That's skills right there. Like, that's what they were doing on stage when we were on tour together, opening up. That. Look at Apple. Look at Apple D-App. Look at that. You see the moves? All right. And check out Tab, aka Taboo. Look at that. That's how we saw the Black Eyed Peas. And from that, day one, we'd be backstage and we'd be like, yo, them Black Eyed Peas dudes gonna blow. One of these days, they gonna blow. Were we wrong? Nope. Were we right? Yep. During that time, we became cool, stayed in contact, and we had just a great relationship with each other. 2000 rolls along, and they're working on their album, Bridging the Gap. Shout to Steve Stout, who was running things over at Interscope during that time. He was also overseeing Black Eyed Peas. He was overseeing Nas, even though Nas was not signed to Interscope, but just being in the mix of making sure things roll right when things need to roll right. But when it came to Black Eyed Peas working with me, Stout brought them to D&D Studios. Shout to Dave and Doug, the owners of D&D and the D&D of D&D. When they came, I cooked up a beat off the spot, which is how I always do it anyway. And when I played it, they were like, yo, we're gonna do something to this. And they started getting their pens out to write. Now, during the time that we were working on that, I remember Stout said, yo, y'all gotta do something a little harder than what you always do. And I remember Will.I.Am said, hey man, we're real no matter how we do it, we're gonna do it our way. And I like the fact that he said the way that he does it is the way that he's gonna execute it to put it out to the world. We put the verses down and came up with a title. And everybody knows when it comes to DJing, I like to always put a starting point so that people can actually start the record over. You know, Big L, rest in peace, big L, twig. Boom, boom, boom. Just the boom, 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 boom. You know what I'm saying? You know my steez. The real, the real, boom, the real, you know what I'm saying? Like that type of stuff. So I like to always make sure in certain records that I still continue to have starting points that make DJs want to start the record. With this one, I remember when we were going to get the record to play and get it programmed, I wanted them to hear it, and I said 1, 2, 3, 4, and I just hit the button and played it for them. Now, when I did that, I was like, you know what? Let's not do the 1, 2. We should do 3, 4, and the beat drops so that when DJs get it, they can just do the 3, 4, 3, 3, 3, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. Just it's DJ shit. It's stuff that we do that's gonna always be respected for what we do: cut, scratch, and mix. And with that said, the record was laid. The verses were done. Taboo, Apple, and Will.I.Am did what was necessary to make it a complete record, and we were all satisfied to say, what are we gonna call it? And first it was, let's call it an empire, because the empire of all of us together. But B.E.P, being that stands for Black Eyed Peas, it actually had a little more ring with B.E.P Empire in it, so we went with it. After the song was done, first of all, let me get the disc. As you see, it only says Black Eyed Peas, right? The reason why it just says Black Eyed Peas is because we didn't have a title for it yet. But this is what's so crazy. Notice that the B, the E, and the P are above each other kind of in an even way. We didn't have a title. I remember we kept calling it Empire, but for some reason the B.E.P just started to pop in the head where I was like, you know what? Let's combine the words, call it B.E.P Empire. We were all in agreement, and from that point, we started the process, which is the sounds from that song are contained on this floppy disk, and from there, it is put into an instrument called an Akai S950. That was our weapon of choice. We throw it in there, and before we throw the disc in there and load the samples that I found that went to the particular song, you got to sequence it to 2-inch tape. That's what we use. That's what was how our records were made. So with that said, there's got to be a sync to make them all play together. The drum machine, which was the MPC 60 at that time, also made by Akai. All of them have to talk to each other. We say this in every episode, but just some people that might be late, I like to still let you know that this is the part that makes this be this, and the song that you hear be that. So when you sync these things up, it's through a thing on the tape machine called time code. Other words, also it's called SMPTE, S-M-P-T-E. That time code comes through a sync box made by Roland called the SBX80. When you connect that into the drum machine and also to the tape machine, they all talk to each other in sync on the money. The only other thing left to do to get it to the point of where I programmed it and get made it into a song is you gotta load the disc up into the S950, and then once you load it in and insert all the parts and make it into the program run by the MPC60 from the S950, you get, the video was dope too, man. It was an infomercial type video, comical and everything, and they just naturally did what they did, and that's another reason why I salute them for being so dope and being original and not caring about what people think of them. And now, when you hit that play button to start everything in motion to sync it up, the first thing you get is my 3, 4, 4.
I'm a W-I-double-L-I-N, linking up with the Preemo, do it. He's the T to the A to the B-O-O, linking up with the Preemo, do it. He's the A-P-L to the G-E-F, linking up with the Preemo, do it. And we the B to the E to the P, hooking up with Preemo, don't do it. We coming through to take control of each zip code, bridging the gaps from rap to calypso. We gonna strike each city from Frisco, Tokyo to back to San Luis Obispo. As a elated descendants of Amadeus, transmitted through your CDs, tapes, and record players. We the Crusaders, attack like alligators. Yeah, we're known to elevate like escalators. Yeah, we coming through to control your area. Black Eyed Peas control your area, bringing the vibe that create hysteria. Whack MCs vacate your area. We 3D coming out of your speaker. I bust through your woofer and tear through your tweeter. Every rapper's talk about killing somebody, but they ain't hip hop to be. Check it out. This is the hip, the hop, we keep it moving, nah style. Black Eyed Peas, yo, we keep it moving. Yo, we keep it moving.
Like KRS-One would say, we're not done. We're not done. There was a female that had been just constantly hounding them to give her a shot at being in the group. And I had this conversation with her in Australia because I never knew the story, and we were in Australia at the same time they were in like 2004, and we just kicked it about that. She was in a group called Wild Orchid. You now get an additional part of the Black Eyed Peas family. Her name is Fergie. Not only did it start from an underground level of how they started, which is the best way so that you appreciate it when you get to the top, like they have, they started to go platinum. They started to change their sound. They started to dress into different types of gear. But it was still looking like the Black Eyed Peas. It wasn't like, oh, this is strange and they're not the same people. They grew into other shapes and forms, and it still was right to go with what they already had going. Fast forward to 2017, I gotta mention this. Shout to A$AP Ferg, all right, and the whole A$AP mob. A$AP Ferg and I did a single called Our Streets, and we were actually out promoting it for MTV. And when we went to the green room, will.i.am and the whole crew walked in. We started just kicking and bugging out, and it made us reminisce about the first time that we actually clicked. We're on that tour in '98. So during that time, that's when you have people like that of that stature in the room. We all want to break out the phone and do selfie videos and things like that. So I did a video where I explained how we were cool years ago. So while will.i.am is wrapping up what he had to say, I butt in and go 3, 4, and everybody joins in and goes bam, 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 bam. You know what? Don't take my word for it. Matter of fact, take my word for it. Watch. Yo, some people go way back. I go back to 1998 with these guys.
Yo,
Preemo, will.i.am, Apple D.App, and Taboo.
What up?
Yes.
Thank you so much for all the love you showed us on our first tour ever was with these dudes. Gangstar, it was so beautiful, it was amazing.
Yeah, man.
M.O.P, Busta Rhymes,
Freddie Fox,
yeah,
Big
Wyclef, it was amazing. Cypress Hill, Public Enemy.
Yep.
We was opening up for the opening uppers.
Yeah.
Like, it was like 2 people in the audience, and we was like rocking 2 people.
Yep, and I told Steve Stout, I said, these guys are going to be big.
And we were the legends. And he also
Stout.
blessed us with B.E.P Empire. So thank you, Preemo.
3, 4, bam,
Real, bro.
Yeah, baby. That's when shit is genuine. Shout to the Black Eyed Peas. Both versions, with Fergie, without Fergie. just period. Y'all are way monumental in this thing that we do, and we appreciate everything you do. Not only that, will.i.am has become one of the illest producers in the music industry worldwide, and he's very, very advanced in the skill of what makes your longevity last when it comes to being in this music. Look, I can't even get the word out. When it comes to this music thing, we'll call it that. You know what I'm saying? But with that said, I'm DJ Premier. Shout to the B.E.P Empire. You know the rest. That's what's up.
Yo,